I told you you had to set up a RAID configuration in Linux on a scale of 1 to 5, how hard do you think that would be? I want you to pause the video and actually paste your guess down in the comments below. I'll wait. Did you get it posted? Great. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. It's actually pretty easy. This is B from Tay Tech, and today I'm going to show you how to configure RAID from the Linux command line. Stick with me. I have a favor to ask. If you like this type of video and want to see more content like it, make sure you are subscribed and hit the bell button for notifications. Also, don't forget to give this video a like if you like it. Let me know what you liked, didn't like, or if you have any comments, questions, concerns, or emotional outbursts down in the comments below. And lastly, stick around all the way to the end to get the most out of this video. Let's do this thing. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, in my previous video, I actually discussed what RAID is and more information about it. So go check that video out if you are interested in getting to know more about RAID. Now, all right, so configuring RAID from the command line is, like I said, it's a lot simpler than you would think. Now, we're going to be using a utility called MDADM. And this is going to manage MD devices, aka Linux software RAID. So you have in RAID you have, oh whoops, you know what I'm not sharing the screen, so let me take this down. Yes, I gotta do it. There we go. All right, so you have an application called MDADM, which manages MD devices, aka Linux software RAID. This is going to allow us to configure RAID on a Linux system. Now, keep in mind that you have hardware RAID cards and you also have software RAID cards. Software RAID should be sufficient for most purposes, so keep that in mind. I'm not going to get into the difference here. Check out the previous video. Now, Linux software RAID is implemented through multiple device driver, which is multiple devices, which is the MD driver, which is where we get that MD from. It supports RAID 0, RAID 0, RAID 1, RAID 4, RAID 5, RAID 6, and RAID 10. In my previous video, I covered all of those but RAID 4, so check that one out if you want to know more. If you want to know more about RAID 4, just go Google it. All right, so now there's also going to be a configuration file that's going to be associated with this per usual, and that's going to be the, let's just go ahead and do, ls etc MDADM, and there we go. We've got our MDADM .conf file. That's where the configuration for the RAID is actually going to be done, and we'll be doing a little bit with that here in this video. It's not intimidating. It can be a little intimidating, but don't be intimidated by it. This is definitely something that is very, very doable. All right. So now, if you don't have it already installed on your system, you will need to do sudo apt install, MDADM. You're on a Red Hat or Fedora system, it would be DNF instead of apt. I've already got it installed, so we don't need to worry about it. I did test it on Red Hat 9, and it came pre-installed already, so that's probably not something you'll have to do if you're using that. I'm not sure about Fedora. It wouldn't shock me if it's there, but it also wouldn't shock me if it's not there, because it's more of a consumer-facing type of operating system. So, but yes. All right. So yeah. All right. So now let's go ahead and actually get into the actual configuration of RAID. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do an lsblk. All right. We want to go ahead and identify the disk that we're going to be using, which is going to be SDA and SDB. I've actually already got a configuration because when you set up a RAID configuration, it's going to have to be built, and depending on size of drives and all sorts of other factors, that can take a while. So like for this, it took probably about 45 minutes for these two right here, and these are just two 32 gigabyte flash USB drive. So yeah, it will take some time. So I went ahead and created this one beforehand, so we have it for this video, so I can actually show you. And keep in mind, it doesn't have to be a hard drive. You can really set up any storage block device, NVMe drive, any of that, using RAID. So that's what I thought was pretty cool. I was like, I wonder if this will work, and then I did it and it worked, and it's cool. So like, if you're trying to test stuff, in your own home lab, and maybe you don't want to spend the money on additional drives, maybe you got a couple flash drives, boom. Honestly, flash drives literally something that I ask for like Christmas, birthdays, every year, because you can never have enough flash drives. I always find uses for them, and and surprisingly, you get a lot of life out of them as well. So, and then they're pretty cheap. So if you need to share stuff with other people, you can just put it on the flash drive, give it to them, and stuff like that. And it's not a huge expense out of pocket for you. But yeah, so let's go ahead and actually. Let's actually go ahead and create the RAID configuration. Now, we're going to be creating a RAID 1 array. Now, keep in mind that it's going to be slightly different for using RAID 5 or RAID 10, but the concepts are the same. And let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and do sudo. We're going to do MDADM, and then we're going to do tac create, and then we're going to do tac verbose, and then we're going to go ahead and put in the one that we want to create here, which is going to be dev MD1, and you'll want to start those with MD because it's multiple device driver. That's going to help you track everything, and then I'm just putting them in sequential order here. This is dev MD1 because MD0 is the one that I already created, so we're going to use the next logical sequential name. So let's go ahead and do that. Now the next thing that we're going to need to do is do tac level. We're going to do equals 1. We're going to do tac RAID devices. Oops, I'm sorry. Let's do tac devices equals 2. Now, this is where it'll differ depending on which one you're using. So for RAIDs 0 and RAID 1, you're going to have a minimum of three drives that are going to be required in order for those to be set up. For 5, it's going to be 3, and for 6 and 10, it's going to be 4. So keep that in mind. So the only difference is really if you were configuring those, you would put 10 for level 10, and then you would put at least a minimum of 4 drives. Same thing for 6, and then 5, you would do 5, and then you'd put 3 over here. So that's how you do it. And then I do plan on doing a follow-up video to this in regards to managing RAID arrays in Linux, because it's just one of those things that I just felt like is not covered enough. And you just don't see it. It comes up as like, oh, hey, I'm doing this as part of this video, but I want to be able to put tools out there that I would have found helpful when I was starting my Linux journey. So that's the approach that I always take to this. So, and if you ever have anything else that you have as far as suggestions go to help make the communication to new Linux users more effective, I'm all ears. Go ahead and leave that down in the comments. I'm always happy to hear feedback, regardless of it, whether it's positive or negative, because even though it's negative, you can still take something away from it. There's always something you can get from any piece of feedback, any failure. That's why I say in my outro, mistakes make you better, so keep on making them. Make all the mistakes in the world, because that's what the human existence is about, is coming from making mistakes and learning from those mistakes. So let's go ahead and get back to the content though here. Okay, so we're going to set up 2 devices, and then what we're going to do is we're going to specify those 2 devices. We're going to do SDA, and we're going to do dev SDB. All right, so we've got the command here. We're creating it. That's what the tac RAID is for. Verbose is going to give us a verbose output for what we're creating. We're going to go ahead and create this RAID array right here. We're going to make it level 1. We're going to use 2 devices. It's going to be these 2 devices right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hit enter. And you will need either sudo or root privileges to be able to go ahead and do this. So let's hit enter. It's going to go ahead and ask us if we want to go ahead and create the array. We're going to type in yes. All right, perfect. And we can see there that it is starting. So there's a cool thing here that you're like, hey, well, I'd like to know like how long it's take. You told me it's going to take a while, B. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to show you a command here. And this is probably something I'll put into a short at some point in time in the future, because it is very helpful. It's watch, and it basically lets you just refresh a command every 2 seconds, which kind of creates like a monitoring experience here inside of the terminal. So we're going to do watch. We're going to do quotations, because you will need to do quotations if you're running more than just a single command. We're only running 1 command, but it's going to have more than 1 part to it. So like say if you were just doing ls, that's all you have to do, right? And that's not going to change. And it's doing it every 2 seconds by default. We're just going to do Control-C to get out of there. But if we want to do watch, and then we're going to go ahead and do cat, and we're going to do proc, MDStat. All right, and we're going to close that out, and then there we go. And see, there we go. And we can see that it is indeed building the array. And see, it's funny because this is actually going to take less time to do these than it was to do those 2 flash drives. Maybe it's because they are much slower compared to this. These are 2 SATA SSDs that are in there. They're ones that you've seen me use in other videos and stuff like that. So it's just kind of funny how all that works out. But yeah, we can see here, and we can see it slowly going up, but you get like the idea right here how long it's going to take to finish and what's the speed of it. It's in kilobytes. I don't know how to convert that really quickly, so I'm going to leave that out there for all of you fast converters. But yeah, so we've got that, but that's why I created the other array. So let's go ahead and get out of here. All right, perfect. So we've got that there. Now, the next thing that we're going to need to do, you can always use that same command, the cat proc mdstat, to get information about it, even after it's done. So, like, say if we go and, you've got it right there, and we've got MD0 that's already active. It doesn't give you a ton of information just as it is, but it does give you, it lets you know, hey, look, we've got this one right here. It's an active RAID 1. It gives us the disks that are a part of that. See, this is also a 1, so of course you're going to have 2 disks, and here's the 2 disks that are there, and all that stuff. So pretty cool stuff. All right, so let's clear this out. Now, the next thing that we need to do is we need to go ahead and put a file system on there. All right, so we're going to go ahead and what we mean by file system is, like NTFS, which is what Windows uses, exFAT, FAT32, exe4 for Linux. So that's what we're gonna do here. Is we're gonna do sudo make fs, then we're gonna do point ext4, and then we're gonna do dev md0, because that's the one we don't want to do md1, because we are, like I said, I created this one earlier, so we're gonna go ahead, and I haven't set a file system on it yet. So here we go, and it contains an exe4 file system, mounted, blah blah blah. Proceed anyway. Yes. Yeah, I was playing with this a couple days ago, creating a journal. And it may take a minute or 2 for it to go ahead and get itself on there. This varies. Sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's not. Usually when I'm just doing a single flash drive, it doesn't take that long. But let me go ahead and pause this, and I'll be right back. All right, there we go. We've got it complete. So it did go ahead and get that file system on there. Now, you'll want to make sure that you have that file system on there before you try to mount it. Or add it to the FS tab to have it active on boot, just because if you don't do that, it will not work. So let's make sure we do that here. So perfect. We got that done. Now, the next thing that we need to do is we need to go and create a mount point. So we're going to do make dir, and then we're just going to do the mount directory. We're going to do test. It's actually already created. So see, it already exists, but I just wanted to show that to you as well. So we got that there, and then we're going to sudo mount, do dev md0, and we're going to go ahead and mount the mnt test. Okay, yeah, we actually, and that's actually because I had it previously on here, and I think it might still be in the FS tab. I can't remember exactly. We'll have to check. Actually, no, let's check that. Let's just do tail etc FS tab. Yeah, see, it's here. It's commented out. It's like, yo, dude. So yeah, you're not always gonna get that message back. So yeah, everything's mounted. So if we just do dftac h, we can see that it is indeed mounted right there. Got our 29. We got our 29 gigs. All right, awesome sauce. And we have done all of that. Now, if you want to get information about the array once it's already constructed, you can run sudo MDADM, and then we're going to do tac capital D, and then we're going to do dev md0, and get a ton of information about it. So there you go. And again, I will be doing a separate video on managing RAID. That's going to be separate from this video, so just be on the lookout for that. I haven't decided if I'm going to do it immediately after this, or if I'm going to chill and then do something different and then come back to it. So we'll see. All right, there we go. Let's clear that out. And awesome. Now what we need to do is we want to go ahead and make everything persistent. You will want to update the array config file to make sure that the array is reassembled at boot. Because what I've noticed is that like if you don't do that, then it, like comes back as like MD like something else, and it's just like, well, that's not what I that's not why I did it. So you want to make sure that it reassembles it correctly. And if you know why it does that, let me know down in the comments below. It's not something I'm super familiar with, but I ran into it and I was like, huh, what? Okay, so let's go ahead and continue here. Let's do sudo. We're going to do MDADM, and then we're going to do tac detail, which I think is also the tac capital D that we used before. We're going to do scan. Then we're going to go ahead and pipe that to sudo. Then we're going to do T. T is a command that's going to allow us to basically take the output from the command that we previously ran and write it to a file. So for this, we're going to use tac A for append. Then we're going to go ahead and do etsy MDADM .conf. I think I got all that right. Let me make sure. Etsy, nope, I don't have it all right. Let's fix this. MDADM MDADM.conf. Cool. All right, let's go ahead and execute that command. There we go. And I think I may already have it in there. Let's go ahead and take a look. Let's go ahead and let's do tail etsy MDADM, and then we're gonna do MDADM.conf. And yeah, I've got it twice. So let's go ahead and got one twice. Let's go ahead and just do sudo vim. We're gonna do some on the spot troubleshooting. Let's just go in here. I'm gonna just do that. And if you're ever in Vim and you want to just delete a line without going into insert mode, just hit DD. It'll delete the line. We don't need that one there. Oh, you know what? Shoot, that was actually, you know what? I know what that is. Crap, I'm sorry. Because we have the two arrays, duh, and I forgot to put the other one in there as well, duh. So yeah, we've got them both in there. So yeah, there's the array. It's going to make sure it gets rebuilt on boot. Now, we don't need that. Let's just quit. All right, let's clear this out. Now, if you want to go ahead and have it updated to FS tab, I'm just going to place this. I'm just going to copy this command in there because actually, let's do this. Let's do tail. Let's see. And I should have copied this before. Oh, whoops, I'm sorry. Not that one. Let's clear that out. Let's do tail. Let's see, FS tab. Here we go. Why doesn't it have the whole thing there? I don't like this. Let's do sudo vim, let's see, FS tab. Okay. So you can do this one of two ways. I'll just show you both ways. Let me just do this real quick because it's really tiny. Are really big. Sorry for those of you on mobile screens. I just want to be able to show everything in the shot here. So here we go. Let's just go here. We're gonna go back, and essentially what we're doing here is we're specifying like, hey, like this one right here. I want you to mount that at test mnt/test. I want you to mount it with ext4, and I want you to go ahead and just mount it with default settings. No fail, I believe, is the one where it's one of these. So I always forget which one's which, but like no fail is to say if something doesn't go right, so it doesn't attach properly. You want to go ahead and set these settings because it will go ahead and still allow us to boot. Because if you don't have that there, it's going to be like, yo, dude, something's jacked up with your settings. You're gonna have to fix this. You know, and if you don't, it can create problems. So yeah, so just make sure you do that. And then over here, we're going to go ahead and set that with just 0 and then 0. So there we go. Most of the time, that's what you're going to do, and then you'll just go ahead and do this. You could also do it through echo, and then you could just put that in there. You would just do that. You would do dev md. Let's just say 1. And you would go ahead and just do this as TMP. I've actually got another spot on here. We can do that. And we would just go ahead and do ext4. And then we would just do defaults no fail discard. We would do 0, 0. All right, and close that out. Seeing that matches what we did up here. So we got dev, except this, in this case, we're mounting MD1. We're going to mount it at TMP test. ext4 is going to be the file system type. Defaults, no fail, discard, and then 0, 0. This, you'll notice the space aren't here because it won't work properly. You tab usually. I like to tab in between mine because it makes it easier to read and see all the different like spots. Where here it's kind of pushed together and sometimes it kind of runs together, especially if you got like a lot of these options and stuff like that. So then we're gonna do it through T again. We're gonna do A, and then we're gonna do etc fs tab. And you know what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch this up. See, this is how you would do it, but I'm going to put a hashtag at the beginning because I don't want it to be just in case I forget, because I am prone to do that. All right, so then we're going to do T again to append and tack A to append to FS tab. Whoops. What did I do here? Hold on. Let me see here, because that shouldn't have happened. That's weird. Why it's doing that. Oh, you know what? Because we need to run sudo over here. No. Okay. Give me just a minute to troubleshoot this. Be right back. All right, I think I figured this out. I've got two parentheses here. Got one right here where it says dev. This one is just confused. All right, let's try this again. There we go. And we just do a tail etc fs tab. There we go, we got it right there. All ready to go. So pretty stinking sweet. If I had to be honest, when I first came to Linux a few years ago, I would have probably said difficulty 5. That would have been me. Once you spend enough time around Linux and you start to understand how things are organized and why they're done the way that they're done, and you know, and just kind of making those logical connections, it's so much easier. Things make a whole heck of a lot more sense. So, you know, just keep working at it. You'll get there. Check out this other video from my channel if you are interested. If you're all caught up on that, hey, check out something else as well. For my channel, I'm always appreciative of that. Remember, mistakes make you better, so keep on making them. Thank you so much for watching my video, and have the greatest of days.